Alrighty. So welcome to Marshall College's 2021 orientation. Just to introduce myself, my name is Jenny. I use she, her, and hers gender pronouns. I'm a fourth year human biology major with a minor in global health, and I'm one of the 3 senior orientation leaders this year. We are super excited to have you all here. As we continue to adjust and adapt to the global pandemic, we are honored to share this virtual space with you all as you embark on this journey here at Thurgood Marshall College, UC San Diego. Today, you'll be meeting a number of Marshall College staff, including our provost, our academic advising and student affairs teams, and of course, our orientation leaders. Before we begin, we just wanted to remind you all of a few things. If you have any concerns or any emergencies throughout orientation, feel free to send me a private message on Zoom. Please also remember that orientation is mandatory and attendance will be taken throughout the session. If you're having any connection issues, drop out of the call or can't come back in, don't forget that we have the troubleshooting Zoom call where our orientation interns, Cece and Isaac, can also help redirect you. We want to encourage you to turn on your cameras if you are comfortable with it so that we can continue building our Marshall community. Your orientation leaders may utilize some visual activities, so it would benefit you to have your camera on. However, please keep your audio muted the entire session unless participating in an activity in a breakout room or during a large debrief. On your panel, please select Show Active Speaker Video during presentations so that you are able to give your undivided attention to the presenter. Right now, I'll be changing the chat function so that you will only be allowed to address chats and questions during the presentations to me and other co-hosts in our Zoom session. Again, this is to allow everyone to give their undivided attention to the presenter. There will be a lot of time for free Q&A later. Lastly, please be respectful of the speakers, your orientation leaders, and your peers. Thank you all for being here today, and we feel honored to welcome you to UC San Diego and Thurgood Marshall College. At this time, we will formally begin the orientation session with a land acknowledgement from Autumn, Chair of the Native American and Indigenous Student Alliance, and Dylan, the garden coordinator at our Kumeyaay Garden.
Hello, everyone, and congratulations on being the 51st class of Thurgood Marshall College, also known as Lumumba Zapata College. My name is Autumn Zaragoza, or Dancing Butterfly, as was given to me by Chief Michael Negrete. My pronouns are they and she, and I'm currently a third-year art history student within UC San Diego. I'm also the current Vice Chair of NASA, the Native American and Indigenous Students Alliance here on campus, as well as a member of the Kumeyaay Garden Committee. My tribes are Kuya and Gabrielino.
My name is Dylan Balducci Hermosa, and I am a Kariwarmi and Dayan person. I'm a second-year archaeology student here at UCSD. Like Autumn, I'm also a member of the Kumeyaay Garden Committee, as well as someone on the NISA board as the garden coordinator.
During your time in Thurgood Marshall College, you will have the opportunity to grow and learn through the acquisition of knowledge from your professors, mentors, peers, and those that have come before you. While you begin your journey of self-discovery, as well as discovery of the world around you through a lens of social justice, I invite you to consider those that were displaced in order for this college to stand as it does today, the Kumeyaay Nation. The Kumeyaay Nation continues to thrive and prosper despite the adversity placed upon them by 3 different waves of colonialism. They continue to take care of not only themselves, but offer resources to all of San Diego and anyone willing to enrich themselves with Indigenous knowledge. Kumeyaay Community College is a great example of this. As we proceed to our working land acknowledgement, let us keep this in mind.
The UCSD community holds great respect for the land and the original people of the area where our campus is located. The university was built on the unceded territory of the Kumeyaay Nation. Today, the Kumeyaay people continue to maintain their political sovereignty and cultural traditions as vital members of the San Diego community. We acknowledge their tremendous contributions to our region and thank them for their stewardship.
Thank you, Dylan, for the land acknowledgement. Land acknowledgements are crucial, but must be paired with action in order to be proactive rather than performative. In the chat, you will find a link to an interest form for the Kumeyaay Garden that will allow you to stay up to date on ways to support.
The garden aims to indigenize spaces around campus, as well as to promote the resiliency and continued presence of the Kumeyaay Nation. The garden is a small but important part of the rematriation of land, as well as the movement towards land back. It is also a step towards the decolonization of our space and inclusion of our ways of knowing, as it aims to teach about Indigenous ethnobotany. While we are taking some steps here to combat colonialism, action needs to be taken all across Turtle Island and beyond. Many sacred sites and land in general are under attack and being desecrated at many different fronts. From the UC invested and supported 30-meter telescope on Mauna Kea to the many different tar sand pipelines that litter the Great Plains and Great Lakes, like Lines 3, 5, and the Dakota Access. The Arctic National Wildlife Refuge up north, Oak Flats, Pavungna, Bear Ears, and the border wall down south. Indigenous sovereignty, livelihood, and cultural perpetuity are all under constant threat. And these are just issues that affect Native people within the American Empire, not even mentioning the struggles of our northern and southern relations. Furthermore, here's a link provided to learn more about Line 3 and how to connect Anishinaabe land from afar.
With these tools and the tools that you will gain through your attendance at Marshall College, I hope that you find yourself encouraged to push the limits of what it means to be a scholar in this world, as well as what your duty is to those around you as you take your own steps towards dismantling the colonization of the land, education, and also yourself as we further examine our own unconscious biases. We wish you luck during your next few years here at Thurgood Marshall College and encourage you to think freely, speak strongly, and listen closely.
Tupunan Chikama, and thank you. May you find your path with ease and happiness.
We begin with land acknowledgement, and we continue with how we engage with, learn about, and advocate alongside Indigenous peoples. Some important dates to include October 11th, which is Indigenous Peoples Day in California, and November, which is Native American Heritage Month. At Marshall, we started a Native Kumeyaay garden in partnership with the Intertribal Resource Center. Native American Student Alliance in partnership with the Intertribal Resource Center. Native American Student Alliance, that was a Doc 3 project of Jonathan Kim, class of 2020. We encourage you to think about whose tribal and ancestral lands you might be on when you're outside of San Diego. The link we just added to the chat is an interactive map of tribal lands. Now we'll be starting off orientation with a welcome message from our provost, Dr. Leslie Carver.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thurgood Marshall College and UC San Diego. My name is Leslie Carver, and I'm privileged to serve as the provost of Marshall College and to welcome you to the 2021 orientation. As provost, my job is to oversee the academic and administrative mission of the college. So I oversee academic advising and student life and supervise the staff in those areas. As provost, I am a faculty member. I come from the psychology department in the Human Developmental Sciences program. So, you know, I'm not an expert in student life and sort of an expert in some aspects of academia, but not all. So I'm really fortunate to be able to work with a fantastic team of professionals in both academic advising and student life. You'll get to meet many of them today, and they're really career professionals in these areas and really understand how to support students. I also have the opportunity to work with other provosts to create programs that are designed to improve the student experience across campus. So one of the programs I'm really excited about, want to tell you about, is called TRELS. It stands for Triton Research and Experiential Learning Scholars Program. It is a scholarship program where we provide scholarships to students to work outside the classroom with a faculty member. That might be on research, but it also might be on things like art or public service. And we really try to provide those scholarships to students who otherwise might face obstacles towards getting those kinds of experiences. I was a first-gen college graduate, so I really didn't know those kind of opportunities were available until somebody told me about it. And that's one of the reasons I'm really passionate about that program. As a Marshall College student, you're joining a college that has a really rich history. Marshall is the third of UC San Diego's 7 colleges, and we're named after Justice Thurgood Marshall, who was the first Black justice of the Supreme Court. He really lived a life of scholarship and civic engagement, and that's what we're looking for our students. We really try to live up to our motto of developing the student as scholar and citizen. Marshall College has started multiple departments on campus. Those include communications, Third World Studies, the African American Studies minor, and some others. We also have a public service minor that is embedded in the college that I would encourage you to check out. So we're really excited that you'll be joining us this year to add to the legacy of our college. Today, you'll meet the orientation leaders and the amazing staff at Marshall College. And so I would really encourage you to connect with them and learn as much as you can from them. They're incredible. I also would really encourage you to try to connect with me throughout the year. I'm always available by email. My email is tmcprovost@ucsd.edu, and I love talking to students and helping them with anything that you encounter. I also will have office hours. Those are currently by appointment, but at some point they'll be scheduled at a location on campus, and I would encourage you to come by and just say hi or ask any questions, or if you want to talk about how to get into grad school or career transitions, I'm happy to talk to you about any of those things. And then finally, keep an eye on Marshall's social media. That's at your TMC family on most platforms. So welcome again, and I'm really excited to have you here at Marshall College. Have a great day.
We thank Provost Carver for the warm welcome. So this is our agenda for today. If you go back a slide, thank you. So we just start with our unofficial welcome, as well as the land acknowledgement and the provost welcome. And we'll continue on with a history of Thurgood Marshall College, as well as restorative practice, followed by a break, academic advising, another break, student affairs, and then a review of Canvas in closing. Again, welcome to Marshall College. Before we continue on with our orientation session, we wanted to provide you all with a brief history of our college. On the following slide, we have an opening quote from Angela Davis. We wanted our goals to be transparent. Lumumba Zapata College, in our theoretical formulation, was to be a place where our peoples could acquire the knowledge and skills we needed in order to more effectively wage our liberation struggles. The college would never become the revolutionary institution we had originally projected. Concessions were going to be inevitable. The most important responsibility resting with us was to ensure that whoever became involved in the college, students and faculty alike, carried on the legacy of struggle out of which the idea of Lumumba Zapata was born. Again, this is a quote from Angela Davis, and we'll be revisiting this vision throughout orientation.
Thurgood Marshall College was founded in 1970 by student activists, the Mexican American Youth Association, and the Black Student Council, who came together to form the Lumumba Zapata Coalition to re-envision the potential of Thurgood College for students of color. At the time, the only colleges on campus were Revelle College and Muir College. However, students of color, as well as working class students, felt alienated from the university. Angela Davis spoke of the experience of walking around campus and not seeing Black folks, resulting in her having a difficult time finding community. The Lumumba Zapata Coalition created a list of demands for the college, ranging from representation in both academics and physical structure of the campus, as well as community participation, which involved going to local high schools to recruit students of color.
We see that buildings located in Marshall College are inspired by African and Mexican architecture. They also were created with the intention of fostering community. This can be seen by how low the buildings are, the way that the upper and lower apartments face one another, the amount of community-oriented spaces that Marshall College has, such as Angela Space, Marshall Field, the cul-de-sac. This can also be seen in the lecture halls. For example, Sequoia Hall has a courtyard where students are able to hang out or study in their free time.
In 1993, it was proposed to name Third College after Justice Thurgood Marshall, the first African-American Supreme Court Justice in the US and NAACP lawyer who worked in getting the Supreme Court to declare segregated schools unconstitutional in the landmark case Brown versus Board of Education. Students at the time actually protested changing the name of Third College, as they felt that Third College represented their struggles and activism. However, we have continued to ensure that the history and values of Third College are not lost as we continue their legacy in our college today.
One way his legacy is continued at Marshall College today is through the use of restorative justice circles. We want to name that our college did not come up with these circle practices, rather we draw from indigenous communities in which they originate. Throughout both orientation sessions, we will be engaging in circle practice. Some key components of this include centering breaths, opening quotes, discussion questions, speakers list, and closing quotes. This allows for everyone to have had a chance to speak without having to talk over someone else. It gives space to those who may need a little more time to transfer their thoughts into words. Though this may be new for some of y'all, we urge you to lean in and engage in these discussions.
In a brief moment, we will be putting you all into breakout rooms with your orientation leader, who will serve as a resource for you all throughout your orientation sessions. These groups are intended to provide space for you all to build connections with one another during your transition to becoming a student here at Marshall College. You all will be engaging in circle practice in your orientation groups throughout our sessions, with your orientation leader as the facilitator. We hope that you all will lean into that learning edge as we engage in circle practice. Okay, so we'll now be sending you all off to your respective breakout rooms where you'll meet your orientation leader and some of your fellow incoming Marshall students. If you are having any difficulties joining, we will try to get you into your breakout room immediately. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open the breakout rooms now. So hope you all have a great time meeting each other. Or they should be open now, so feel free to join by hitting breakout rooms at the bottom. So now we'll be transitioning over to academic advising, and I'll be handing it off to Emily Gonzalez, our Assistant Dean of Academic Advising from our very own Marshall College Academic Advising team. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can private message me during the academic advising presentation. And again, if you have any questions on the slides, feel free to DM me. And we'll also be having a breakout room with your orientation leaders later on where they can address any general questions you may have. So we'll go ahead and I'll pass it over to Emily.
Thanks, Jenny. Hi, everybody. Welcome, class of 2025, and welcome to the Thurgood Marshall College Academic Advising portion of your new student orientation today. So as Jenny said, my name is Emily Gonzalez, and I am the Assistant Dean of Academic Advising here at Marshall College. And I'm part of a team who's worked with you throughout the summer in preparation for fall quarter enrollment, and will continue to support you over the next 4 years as you satisfy all of your academic requirements. So the duration of our session today is going to It's going to be about 50 minutes with time for questions at the end. So next screen, please. So, before we start talking about the weeks of the quarter, I just wanted to kind of give you a rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. So the presentation is designed to introduce you to the quarter system at UC San Diego. So you kind of see that reflected on the screen that you're looking at right now. And we are going to go into more detail about who we are and what our office does to help support you throughout the quarter, so that you can become familiar with the types of advising services that we have and what we can provide you. Then later in the session, you're going to have opportunity to spend some time in your small groups with your orientation leaders and discuss any additional ways to be successful academically. So as you probably already know right now, your OLs have a lot of experience with their time here at UCSD, and they're great resources for you. And so afterwards, and if time permits, hopefully, we'll open up the floor and answer any general questions you might have. So let's get started. All right, so right now you're looking at a breakdown of the weeks of a 10-week quarter. So UCSD's academic year is divided into 4 terms: fall, winter, spring, and summer. Most students will be enrolled during the fall, just as you are. You'll be enrolled in the fall, winter, and spring quarters. Summer session enrollment is optional. Fall, winter, and spring quarters include 10 weeks of instruction, followed by a week of final exams. And your final exam schedule is also viewable on WebReg. So when you've enrolled in your classes, there should be something on the schedule of classes that shows when your final exam is, as well as in your course planners. So while you're attending UCSD, you're going to identify academic deadlines by their week of instruction. So for example, the add deadline is Friday of week 2, and the first drop deadline is Friday of week 4. So when we say the deadline is this, the deadline is that, we're talking about like 11:59 p.m. on that day. So if you are looking to drop a course in Friday of week 4, you have until Friday evening at 11:59 p.m. to do that. So, and all of that is done through WebReg. The first set of midterms will likely begin during week 3. However, they can start as early as week 2. So as you're, remembering the add deadlines, the drop deadlines, change of grading option deadlines, you're also preparing for your first set of midterms that again could start as early as week 2. So it's important to really stay on top of your classes and be prepared, and just knowing, what your schedule is going to be like through the syllabus and all that. Okay. Now, a list of university-wide academic deadlines can be found on TriLink, and we're always talking about deadlines because obviously, those are really important. And there's an address that's included on the slide. So you should see that. I think it's like the 3rd bullet on that slide. So we encourage you to continuously monitor your UCSD email and Canvas to ensure you're receiving the most up-to-date information regarding your classes and assignments. Now, I know that's a lot of information. The 10-week quarter, really, again, it is only 10 weeks, and it does move quickly, but there is a robust support system available to help you navigate your academic requirements. So who is the system? So to help support you and navigate your academic journey, advising here at UC San Diego is comprised of specialists in each area of support. So international advisors, as an example, include those in the study abroad office. So if you're thinking of studying abroad, you'll want to talk to these specialists to learn about the different study abroad programs, as well as advisors for international students in the International Students and Programs Office, who can assist our international students in learning about visa status, things like that. The next set of advisors would be your department and program advisors, and they're considered specialists in reviewing your major and your minor requirements. We are your Marshall College advisors, and we can assist you in clarifying your general education and university requirements. You also have internship advisors who are available to those seeking to learn more about internship opportunities and how to gain academic credit for different types of internships that you're interested in, or maybe you're doing an internship right now. Another set of advisors include the Career Center advisors, and they can provide you guidance on employment or graduate school information, or just exploring different types of careers that you might be interested in. Now, additional advising at the university that are we consider like non-academic, right? But are definitely related to your academics are those advisors in the financial aid office, advisors in the student affairs and student organizational support, as well as in CAPS and wellness cluster. So CAPS stands for Counseling and Psych Services. So it's a big part of campus. Mental health is really important. So we want to make sure students are supported in the ways that they need to be supported. Okay, so you'll have more opportunity to discover more about these student affairs resources, campus orgs, and our CAPS wellness clusters through your Canvas orientation modules. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about departments and programs. So all students will need to meet with their major advisors. And if you are thinking of pursuing a minor, you'll want to talk to your minor advisors as well. So your department and program advisors will be able to assist you with the requirements towards graduation that are specific to your major or your minor. So if you have questions or would like to learn more about your major, you'll want to consult with your major advisors as they serve as the specialists in your major or program. And they are also your first stop in creating your personalized long-term plan. So if you all are really thinking of putting a lot of different things in your schedule, a lot of different courses in your different quarters here, you want to make sure you meet with your major and your minor program advisors just to see how you can fit all those courses into the next 4 years, really. And the quickest way to contact them is to the Virtual Advising Center. And for general information, you can always visit their website as well. Now, for Marshall College Academic Advising, we specialize in helping you understand your general education as well as university requirements. We also provide information regarding academic policies that affect all students. So academic policies like add-drop deadlines, changing grading option, all that stuff. So that's information that we can really help you with as well. Likewise, we serve as the final stop in developing your long-term plan. So when we say final stop, we mean you've met with your major department, you've met with your minor advisors, and you've worked with them to put in all your courses for your different quarters that you're going to be here, and then you'd come to us, and then we make sure everything looks correct, that all of your other requirements for the university, all of your other requirements for your GE are also placed there, right? So that's how we help ensure that you graduate within the time frame that you need to. So when you have any questions about your academic record, your long-term plan, or other educational opportunities, don't hesitate to reach out to us at Marshall Advising through the Virtual Advising Center. And we know many of you have already reached out to us since you've enrolled through the Virtual Advising Center. We call it VAC for short. So we'll always answer your questions. And we'll also refer you to the appropriate department that specializes in handling your different inquiries. Now you might be wondering, who is behind the VAC, right? Who's behind the Virtual Advising Center? So this is who we are. So our team consists of 8 professional staff members and 7 student workers. And while you don't have an assigned counselor, we encourage you to visit us when you can or when you feel the need to, right? So you can, again, like I said, you can contact us at the Virtual Advising Center. And when our availability goes up about seeing us in person, we'll make sure that information gets sent out to you as well. But there are 8 folks on our team, and we can really help you work through your courses and such. Now, a unique part of our team is our student staff. And our student staff can also provide you with their own unique student perspective and help guide you in making well-informed decisions related to your academics. It's very nice, right, to have that student perspective, to see what they've done, what they've gone through, as well as they're also in the same shoes as you are. So it may be from learning how to submit documents to us or where to find a list of GE courses to figuring out how far is Solis from Price Center, those types of things. Our student staff can really help you understand all that and what it means to be a student on campus. So ultimately, our office understands the many concerns and situations that may arise and impact your performance at UC San Diego. Because there's so many different things that you're going to experience, and we encourage you to really seek out new experiences academically and all that, we want to know what concerns you have. What are your specific concerns? And so anytime, you're kind of wondering what to do, you're not sure what to do, we really encourage you to come and see us, right? We encourage you to meet with your advisors at least once a quarter, and it is your responsibility to use these resources. They're there for you, and we really want to make sure that you have a good handle, especially in your first quarter, on how things are going and letting us know how things are going too. And so once the fall quarter begins, you will have access to all the academic advising services our office has to offer. So like I said previously, many of you are already familiar with the Virtual Advising Center's Ask a Question function. So you're encouraged to continue to use this tab, to use this function throughout the academic year for questions related to review or assistance in your current quarter's courses, monitoring your progress towards graduation, and are there any quick inquiries related to your general education or university requirements. You can also contact us through the VAC to set up an advising appointment to address any more specific concerns regarding your long-term plan, major exploration, or academic challenges that you might be experiencing. And when you contact us through the VAC, we want you to address your initial questions first. Address your initial questions and concerns first through the Virtual Advising Center, because this will allow us to evaluate the scope of your questions as soon as possible, and then refer you to an appointment with our office if we are unable to address your inquiries through the Virtual Advising Center. So please refer to the Meet with an Advisor tab on the Virtual Advising Center often, as it will contain the most up-to-date information regarding our advising methods. And so as we're looking at our college academic advising services, we want to highlight how you can expect us to communicate with you throughout your time at UC San Diego. So the Virtual Advising Center serves as part of your permanent academic record. And because of this, it's our main method of communication with you, where we answer your questions, share important academic updates, and more, as things come up throughout the quarter. When you receive a message from us or another department, you will receive an email alert. That email alert is going to go to your UCSD email, and it alerts you to log on to the VAC and read a message that you've received from one of our offices. You can also choose to opt in to receive a text message when you have a new VAC message for you from either your department or from us, or whatnot. So just as important, again, is your UCSD email. And we encourage you to check your email at least once a day, as this is where you'll receive notices from your professors, TAs, Marshall College, and the university. And please remember that we cannot provide academic advising via email. It's related to privacy issues. So as we would like to keep your record private, right, we want to make sure that you know that we cannot advise you via email or over the phone. So if you need to contact an academic advisor via email, try not to share any of your personal information unless you're submitting, required documents directly to our office. So now that you're familiar with how advising works here at UC San Diego, we want you to continue to seek assistance from the appropriate advisors as necessary, right? We're also available to assist you in creating your personalized long-term plan, as I mentioned before. And as a reminder, the first step in doing so is meeting with your major advisors to ensure that all of your major requirements are accurately listed on your plan. So once you've met with your major advisor, you can reach out to us and we can add in your GE and university requirements and ensure that you can graduate in a timely manner. Now, over the summer, some of you may have attended our Planning Your First Quarter webinar. That webinar went into further detail about the academic plans website and how to use it as a guide until you've developed your own personalized plan. So for those of you who were unable to attend, check out your Canvas module to watch a recording of the webinar. And so as a tip, in terms of building your academic plan, use the fall quarter to really start looking at your plan and planning out your next couple of quarters, right? Because once you're on campus and once you get a feel for the departments and for our office, hopefully you'll feel more comfortable working on the plan on your own and then bringing it to an advisor and say, hey, does this look okay? So we really encourage you to do that. So now, reviewing material on Canvas. So hopefully you've taken some time to review the academic advising portion of your Canvas orientation modules. And in there you can find videos explaining your GE requirements and how to understand your degree audit, a survey explaining your university requirements, and then recordings of the webinars from the summer. Now, this content has been created from our office for you to allow you to better prepare yourself for your time here at UC San Diego. In addition, continuing to gain familiarity with Canvas, as this is what most of your instructors will use to post materials related to your courses, is going to be key to your success. And so now we come to the portion of this session where for the next 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to spend some time with your orientation leaders. And together you will review academic resources essential to your time here at UC San Diego. And during that time, if you have any questions you'd like to address as a large group, please let your OL know. They'll be gathering your questions that we will answer once we come back together.
All right, thank you so much, Emily. I'll go ahead and open the breakout rooms right now. So give me 1 second here. So now that we're back, hopefully your orientation leaders were able to answer some of your questions in the last 15 or so minutes. We'll be moving into a larger Q&A session where the academic advising staff will answer any remaining academic questions that you may have, or any questions that your orientation leaders were unable to answer. Due to time constraints, we may not be able to answer every single question. However, don't forget that you can submit your questions to the academic advisors through the Virtual Advising Center. If you come up with any questions during this time, I'm going to be setting the chat settings so you can direct your questions to only the hosts and the co-hosts, and we'll be reading out the questions out loud. I have a question here on how do you get a backup class when one of your classes is completely full on waitlist, for example, build 1?
Good question. So the question was how to pick a backup class. Is that right, Jenny?
Yeah, how to pick a backup class.
Okay. Yeah, so we like to call this as a plan B, right? So if you're, I think this would probably go for anyone who's waitlisted for any particular class, right? So if you're waitlisted for a course, you want as much as possible to have that backup class. And as you all know right now, a lot of the classes are full, right? So courses that you'd have probably had as backup classes, those are probably full too, right? So we want you to make sure that if you are going to be waitlisted, you want to be enrolled in at least 12 units as much as possible while you're waitlisted. In terms of selecting a backup class, if you courses that you thought you would like to take are full, you know, those that are backup classes or any other GEs that you could possibly take, at this point where we are with enrollment, you'll want to just pick a course, you know, any course. A course that's like an elective, you know, elective meaning a course that you might be interested in taking, may not count towards anything in particular, but it'll give you units towards graduation, and those units are important too, right? So if you are wanting to have a backup class, we recommend that you do. Consider looking at freshman seminars. Those are 87s offered by the different departments. They're only offered at 1 unit each, pass no pass, but there are multiple of them available. And you can enroll in, you know, 2 to 3 of them, you know, in any given quarter. So, so when you're looking at a backup class, and again, where we are at this point in enrollment, you want to make sure you kind of expand your net a little wider than maybe you would have initially, just to make sure that you can have that backup class. Let's see. So we're getting a couple questions in now. Question is about doc. So taking doc in your first year. So we recommend that you do complete doc in your first year. So that's doc 1, 2, and 3, fall, winter, spring. If you're eligible to take doc, right? You would know by now if you are, but we do recommend that you take it in your first year. But if you are not able to take doc, if you're not able to sign up for doc 1 in the fall quarter, that's fine, right? Totally fine. You can move the doc series to your second year, to your sophomore year. That's not going to put you behind in any way. We want you to be able to take the doc series in order. So doc 1, then doc 2, then doc 3. That's how that series was designed. So if you can't take it this year, move it to next year in your second year, and it should work out okay. Waitlist roll. What place on the wait list is it likely for me to get in? That's a hard question, right, to answer, because lots of things can happen on the wait list. But in general, like I said before, there's no guarantee that you'll get on, you'll get into a course from the wait list. You'll want to make sure you're enrolled in at least 12 units while you're waitlisted, because in case you don't get in, you want to make sure you're in full-time units, right? But just in general, if you're like 1 or 2 on a wait list, we would say, stay on the wait list, because a lot of movement happens during that first week of the quarter. Movement meaning students going in and out of the class, dropping the course and all that. So if you're like 1 or 2 on the wait list, we would say, go ahead and stay, and wait through that first week of the quarter. If you're much, further down the wait list after that, that's when you'll probably want to have a plan B, a backup class, because that's when it gets really like iffy. There's no guarantee you'll get in. So while there's no rule per se, it's more of strategy, right? How you strategize your classes, how that waitlisted course would play in with all your other classes, and looking at different priorities for your schedule. So another question, something about the deadlines. The finals week is after December 11th, because that's the last day of instruction, but my finals that are listed are on 12/4, so December 4th. So the way that works is, again, the quarter is done on, we count it by week. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and all that. So week 10, and I don't remember the dates of the actual quarter, like where these weeks fall, but just know that your final exams are going to be after the end of week 10, right? So there's the length of the quarter, right, where all instruction happens, but finals week is always considered week 11. And so that's when no instruction is happening, but that's week 11. So go back to the schedule of classes. Also look on the registration dates. Lizzie just dropped the link in the chat where you can see where all those dates are for the start date and the end date for the quarter. So bookmark that page. That'll be really helpful in just tracking those deadlines for the quarter. Another question about being waitlisted. So really good question. If you're waitlisted, how do you catch up on the class if you get off the waitlist late? So when you're officially waitlisted for a course, you would have access to the course materials in Canvas. So the expectation is that you'd stay on top of the coursework in Canvas, but you'd also attend course. You attend the classes as you're waiting, because there's a concern that you're going to miss the course, the coursework if you're not officially enrolled. But you can attend the class. You can sit in as you're waiting to be put in the course if a seat opens up. So that's what we recommend. You'd want to treat that waitlisted course as if you're enrolled and go to the classes. So, yeah. Let's see. Other questions? Yes. Okay, so got a couple questions coming in. Are there units we will need to take that don't align with our major or GE? So basically extra units, extra classes outside of these major classes and GEs that are necessary for graduation. Yeah, this is a possibility. So we call these elective units for graduation. These are units that are outside of any requirements that you need to take for your major, for your GE, all that stuff. Students need to have a minimum of 180 units in order to be eligible to graduate. So if after completing all of your major and GE classes that you're not at the 180 yet, that's when you'll use these extra units. That's when you'll need these extra units to reach that 180. These extra units can be for, taking courses for a minor, taking any extra classes that you might be interested in, but you would need those units again to reach that 180 for graduation. Now, if you've come in with a lot of units, so AP units, transfer work, IBs, A levels, all that stuff, you might not need any extra units, to reach that 180. So we would recommend that in the fall quarter, kind of take a look at your quarter by quarter plan and then consult with a Marshall advisor, and we can let you know how many elective units you might need to take. Let's see. As an undeclared major, when do you recommend I choose a major, start taking classes for a planned major? Fall quarter, right? Freshman seminars are a really good way to kind of explore those different classes. You'll also want to maybe take a few exploratory courses in the winter quarter as well, right? So the sooner that you're able to take some of these exploratory courses in your first year, you'll be better prepared as you go into your second year when you'd want to start taking more of your major classes. So as an undeclared major, doing that type of exploration in your first couple quarters at UCSD is going to be really key. Let's see. There's a question about being in a class, but you are also waitlisted for the co-requisite for the course. So you can likely still take the class, but what you'll want to do is contact the department that offers the class. Oftentimes these co-requisites are like physics courses, sometimes chemistry classes like with math and stuff. So you want to contact the major departments or the departments offering those classes to the virtual advising center just to confirm, right? But they have the co-requisite there because that's also part of the preparation for the course. And because they're co-requisites, they're saying that these courses, obviously, they go together and they work well together. Let's see. A lot of questions about waitlist. So is it possible to only have 2 classes in the quarter if we can't get off the waitlist? Or is there more of a guarantee that we can get into more classes? There's a lot of concern that I'll only be a part-time student when I want to be full-time. Yes, absolutely. So like I said before, we want to make sure you're in at least 12 units, right? But a lot of classes are full right now. So you want to do your best to try and find other courses, or you just need to get into 12 units, right, to be full-time. And so and we've been working with students in these situations since you first started enrolling classes. So for everyone, if you find yourself in that situation where you're not enrolled in at least 12 units and you're waitlisted for, multiple classes, contact us with the virtual advising center, right? So go to vac.ucsc.edu, send us a message because we know your choice of courses are very specific to you and you all have different majors, you all have different interests. So by allowing us to look at your record to see what options, we can provide for you, that'll put you in a better situation for finding that one more class that you need to be at 12 units, okay? So come in, well, not come in, don't come in yet, but send your message to the virtual advising center and we can really work with you through that avenue to help you find the one more class that you need. So another question, how can we submit college classes we took in high school and how can we know if they count for units? So for any of you who took courses at a community college or another four-year university prior to starting at UCSD, you'll want to send that transcript to UCSD admissions, right? So same address that you sent your high school transcript to admissions. So you'll want to send that college transcript to UCSD admissions. Now, once that coursework gets posted to your record, and it takes about 6 to 8 weeks once it's posted, you'll see those courses showing up on your academic history and Triton link. And then you can contact our office, Marshall College Advising, through the Virtual Advising Center. And then we can let you know where the courses will fall on your degree, like for GEs, what they might count for and all that. But if you see them posted to your record, then you know that you're getting unit credit for those classes. So, so make sure you send your transcripts from any universities attended prior to UCSD, send them to admissions, and then you'd be monitoring your record to see and to make sure that the coursework gets posted. Let's see.
I can answer the next question. Hi all, my name is Lizzie Miller. I'm also academic counselor here at Marshall College. I use she, her pronouns. There's a question about units and FAFSA. So make sure if you have specific questions about your financial aid packages, you are directing them to the financial aid office, just to make sure that you're reaching their deadlines and meeting the requirements for your financial aid package. So any questions about billing, payment, billing, you're going to want to contact the student financial business office, the business office. And then for financial aid, you'll contact financial aid directly. And I will pop those in the chat as well.
I think probably one last question, right, Jenny? Probably time for one more question. Okay, so last question goes back to prerequisites for courses. And that is, do we have to take prerequisites before the class or can we take them at the same time? So for example, taking physics 1A with a physics 1B or a physics 1 and a physics 2. So the answer to that is no. So a lot of the courses do have prerequisites, and departments do not allow students to take prerequisites for a course while you're enrolled in the class. Thing about WebReg is that if you haven't met prerequisites for a course, WebReg, when you're trying to enroll in the class, it's not going to allow you to enroll. Okay, so if you have any questions about the prerequisites to the courses, contact the departments offering the classes, and they can really delineate, what courses are prerequisites for the specific classes you want to enroll in, so that you are better prepared to take that course. Okay, so at this time, we're just going to review some important dates for the fall quarter that you'll want to mark on your calendar. Feel free to screenshot or take a photo of the slide for your convenience, and you may find more detailed information by visiting the link at the bottom of the slide. So this concludes our presentation. Thank you for your participation. All of this is going to be uploaded to your Canvas orientation module. And if you have any remaining questions after this, make sure to contact us at the Virtual Advising Center at that.ucsd.edu. So we wish you a wonderful first start to UC San Diego in your first quarter. And thanks, Lizzie. Thanks, Jenny, for being here with us and all of our orientation leaders. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you, Emily and Lizzie from Academic Advising for giving us a very informative presentation and for answering all of our questions. So now we'll be going ahead and going into another quick, short, take what you need break. So again, feel free to use this time to grab some water, go to the restroom, do whatever you need to get rejuvenated. And please be back by 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, please do not leave the Zoom call. You can simply mute and turn off your video. So we hope that you all were able to take what you need. So let's come back together and welcome Colin Lewis from our Student Affairs team. Throughout the presentation, there are a few discussion questions that your OLs will be answering. So I have opened the chat so that you can respond to these questions if you'd like. And Colin, whenever you're ready, you can go for it.
All right, thank you so much, Jenny. Are you going to be controlling the slides too?
Ryan will be.
Okay, cool. All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm glad to be here with you all virtually. This is Marshall College's freshman orientation, and I'm here. I'm part of the Student Affairs department. So A couple of things I'm going to go over is what the Student Affairs Department at Marshall College can offer to students exactly, as well as different ways to get involved in some of the services that the staff at the college offer. But I'm very happy to see you all here, and I'm excited to start the academic year with you all. Next slide, please. So as I said, my name is Colin Lewis. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm the coordinator of student activities here at Marshall College. In this overview, a couple things that I wanted to highlight in particular. As I mentioned, we're going to be going over the department's different services and what we have to offer to students in terms of resources. We're also going to watch a message from our Dean of Student Affairs, Dr. Amber Vlasnik, on academic integrity, student conduct procedures, and how exactly that ties into your experience as a student. We're also going to talk about some of the benefits of getting involved and what exactly it does for students. We know that students, especially here at UC San Diego, you all are incredibly busy with your classes. Many, if not most of you, are taking full course loads, and that's challenging. And so we recognize that it's a challenge. And so if you do choose to get involved, we do offer resources to support you in your involvement. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to build community and what exactly community looks like at Marshall College. Next slide, please. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our vision and our mission here at the college. It's something that we talk about pretty frequently and that we hold near and dear to our heart. The people who work in student affairs and the folks especially who work here at Marshall College, we do so because we value our ability to create transformative change for students, to create positive co-curricular experiences in which students feel supported, challenged, connected, and called to serve their communities locally and globally as scholars and citizens. Our mission, as noted on the slide, is that we support the growth, needs, and well-being of our diverse students and provide meaningful co-curricular engagement and leadership opportunities in which all students have the ability and the opportunity to develop as scholars and citizens. And so if you do choose to get to know Marshall College and get involved and get to know the staff a little bit, you'll see that our values are listed on the slide. We value authenticity and being our real selves and our true selves and bringing our real selves to work and therefore being in community with you all. We value inclusion and doing what we need to do in terms of systems and processes to make the system more inclusive and to make the college more inclusive. We believe that growth occurs through challenge. And so whether those challenges are voluntary or involuntary, the staff is here to support you through those. We're here to provide guidance, advising, and connect you to resources as needed. We value collaboration. And so we recognize that none of what we do occurs by itself. It's only the result of a team effort. And so in order for us to do our very best for you, we have to work together. And so we hope that that spirit of collaboration and partnership carries over to you all. And we value connectedness. We value forming positive, appropriate relationships with folks. We value bringing folks into the fold of the college. We value spreading the mission and vision and values of the college especially. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, here are the actual team members that make the magic happen. So for context, all of this is student affairs at Marshall College. However, there are different subunits. And so I, along with the Assistant Dean of Student Affairs, Fanan Kaflesgi, and a vacant program assistant position, we make up what's called the Student Life subunit of Student Affairs. On the other side of the house, we have Residential Life, which works with you all if you choose to live on campus. And then we are led by our Dean of Student Affairs, Dr. Amber Vlasnik, who kind of oversees both sides of the house, both residential life and student life. Regardless of which subunit or area we fall in, however, all of us are dedicated to ensuring an enriching and transformative experience for you all. As noted on the slide, we are a team of dedicated, equity-minded professional staff committed to supporting your holistic development, your well-being, and overall experience at UC San Diego and Marshall College. So regardless of our exact function or job area, all of us are here to work with you, connect you to resources, help you get through life, help you get through the college experience, and otherwise, work to ensure that you experience some form of student success while on this campus. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, these are some of our core functions and services. So as I mentioned, the Student Affairs unit at Marshall College is divided into two subunits, residential life and student life. However, there is a lot of overlap in terms of the services that we offer. So those include your traditional residential life services and programs such as housing administration, mediating roommate conflicts, ensuring enforcement of residential life policies, etc. We also provide oversight of student conduct and academic integrity. We support student parents, transfers, first-generation students, and minoritized students. And so we recognize that students are not a block and that y'all are different and that y'all have different needs. And so we recognize that. And so we tailor our services accordingly. Some of the cool things we do as well is that if students do choose to get involved, we can help facilitate that. And in fact, a lot of our traditions and events and our big programs here at the college, a lot of them are student driven, meaning they're entirely run by students who form committees, who form work groups, who get together and make things happen. That's the really cool thing about Marshall College. And I think the undergraduate colleges at UC San Diego in general is students have a lot of autonomy to get together and make things happen with staff and alongside staff, which I think is pretty cool. We offer opportunities for student faculty interactions, such as our Coffee with the Prof program. We advocate for community safety and free speech. We support students experiencing challenge or crisis, whether that's basic needs issue, food insecurity, housing insecurity, etc. We also work with student organizations. And so as mentioned earlier, I myself, along with others in the college, I provide advising services to student orgs and student groups. I also provide leadership development opportunities, and several other functions in the college provide those opportunities as well. And so I know that might seem like a lot. I know that might seem actually a little overwhelming, given all the other information that you've probably received today and in days prior, but the reality is that all these services exist for you. They exist to facilitate your success. They exist to help make your college experience more fulfilling or easier or better supported. These services at the end of the day are here for you, and it would not be possible without you. Next slide, please. So I mentioned this earlier, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into it. It's the phrase being in community. And I know that this is something that will get talked about throughout the day and probably here on out after your orientation experience. But community and what being in community means matters a lot here at Marshall College. And I think first and foremost, a part of being in community is understanding the principles of community. I believe they were put into the chat already. And so if you want to review those, I encourage you to do so. What it means to be in community is that, you know, we're happy to be together, we know each other and we respect each other, but at the same time, we respect each other by following our shared rules, by following the spirit of our shared values, and by acting within the best interests of the community. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that a bit later. It also means understanding and being aware of what the expectations are of being a student. And so that's where the policy on integrity of scholarship comes into, because academic integrity is very important on this campus. It also means being familiar with the student code of conduct and what those procedures look like and what the expectations are. It also means understanding the residential life community standards, as well as what your housing contract actually says. So I know that might seem legalistic, you know, it might seem like a lot, it could seem overwhelming, but the reality of it is that we're all in a large community, we're with each other and we're here for each other and we're here to facilitate each other's success. But a part of that means understanding the rules and understanding the expectations and knowing how to be in community. And once folks are able to kind of follow the spirit and the letter of these guidelines and rules, it means that things work better for everybody in the end. Next slide, please. So on the more positive side of things, here are some ways to plug into community if you so choose. We have a lot of different opportunities here at Marshall College. A lot of these orgs, as I mentioned, they are completely student driven. That means that for the most part, students, you are in the driver's seat and get to make a lot of the decisions. A lot of the funding for these different student groups comes from the student activity fee that you all pay when you enter the university. And so that money does come back to you in the form of a spendable budget, depending on which org you're in or which group you're in. And as a member of those little sub-communities, these different student organizations, you get to decide how that money is spent. Some of the orgs are more affinity based. So for example, we have active community at Thurgood Marshall, and we have Marshall transfers and commuters. The first one is service oriented, oriented towards service and community. And the second one is oriented towards a specific group of students, and that would be transfers and commuters. At Marshall College, we do recognize that transfer and commuter students do have different needs than on-campus residential students. And so we want to honor that. We have a number of different opportunities as well. One that I wanted to highlight in particular is our peer mentorship program. We have two of them, one for new students and one for transfer students. So for new freshmen, we have Each One Reach One, which pairs up a first-year student with a second-year student who's a little more experienced, is a little more familiar with campus, has been around campus a bit longer. And so that way that organic knowledge transfer can occur, and it allows you to get to know someone and build connections with a friendly face. We also have the Transfer Peer Mentor Program, which does the same thing, but for transfer students. We know that being a new student, especially on a large R1 campus like ours, it's intimidating. It's kind of scary, right? And so it's helpful to know someone, to know a friendly face, to have someone that you can just talk to, ask questions to, free of judgment, and they're knowledgeable, they can connect you to resources, and they can let you know that you're not alone in this new journey. I also want to give a special plug to Marshallpalooza. That's a big fall quarter festival that we have coming up at the end of fall, more towards November. It's a really fun opportunity. The recruitment for that begins soon. If you're interested, definitely come out to our student organizations fair later on during Welcome Week. More on that later. It's an awesome opportunity to get involved, make something big happen, make something cool happen. I highly encourage it if you're interested in figuring out what involvement looks like. Next slide, please. So here are also some ways to plug into community. And I know this is probably anxiety inducing to some, but I encourage you all to come out to events and meet new people. If it's as easy as grabbing your roommate and just saying, hey, let's go off to this program, go for it. If you need to grab one of your suite mates, just throw that offer out there. And if they say yes, awesome. And if not, that's cool too. Just continue to go. I think one of the hardest things about getting involved and coming out to events, honestly, is just getting your foot out the door. It's making that first step to shake off the nerves, shake off the anxiety, take that one foot in front of the other and just get out there and see what happens. So I highly encourage you all to do that if possible. We have a lot of events over the next couple of weeks. The campus itself is doing a lot of events as well. Those are all great opportunities to meet new people, other students who have been around a little bit longer and may know more. And through those connections, you can really build your college experience. Throughout the academic year too, keep an eye out for different leadership development and employment opportunities. They're all listed right there. Special shout out to Thurgood Marshall College Student Council. That's a decision-making body made up of student leaders who are both elected and unelected. And they really do have a lot of influence in how things go on campus. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, some benefits of getting involved. These are based in research. These aren't anecdotal. These aren't just pulled out of thin air. This is actually based on established theory and research. And so for students who do choose to get involved, they experience increased persistence, retention, and they experience a heightened sense of belonging, meaning that they feel like they're at home here and that they feel like they're in community here. They build skills that employers and graduate and professional schools look for. Those include leadership, communication, the ability to collaborate in diverse environments, the ability to solve conflict. Some benefits also include developing friendships based on shared interests, activities, and value. I would say that that's one of the primary benefits of involvement. So many of the students that I've worked with, they actually go on to be friends with each other, or they stay in touch past graduation, or they become, deeper friends outside of being involved. And so I really do think that that's one of the bigger takeaways of involvement. You can create meaningful connections with faculty, staff, and administrators who can end up writing a reference for you, writing a letter of recommendation, providing guidance on life issues, life challenges, and otherwise connecting you with resources as you move through the university. And you also enhance your leadership, communication, and teamwork skills. Next slide, please. So we're going to have a poll pretty soon. What are some challenges you anticipate might be a part of your college experience? I know that when we talk about student success or being in community, it makes it seem like everything is great and wonderful all the time, but the reality is that it isn't. Sometimes there are challenges, sometimes there are hard times, sometimes there are unexpected transitions, expected transitions, et cetera, et cetera. And so I want you all to just take a bit to think about what are some challenges you anticipate might be a part of your college experience. Thank you, Jenny, for putting all the different opportunities and links into the chat. Appreciate it. All right, so it looks like the poll has closed. So it seems like there's quite a spread of different possible challenges. I see that the top one is time management and transitioning to a quarter system from a semester. That's real. I see that another one is academic shock, not being academically prepared. That's very real as well. Mental health, that's another big one. These are all real. And even if one that you selected did not get a high percentage, that doesn't mean it's not valid. That doesn't mean it's not important. The reality is that all of these are very real. All of these are very valid. They can happen to any of us, and it's normal. All these things are a normal and I would say expected part of making a huge life transition. And, let's not kid ourselves. Going to college, moving away, meeting new people, taking on new challenges, that is a huge transition. It's a huge life event, potentially one of the biggest life events that you can experience. So regardless of what challenges you face, I just want you to know that you are supported. There are resources for you. No challenge is trivial, no challenge is invalid. And if you experience it, it is valid. And so you are not alone in that. All right. Oops, move all these down. So as we talked about, there are a wide variety of different challenges, but we're not just going to name these challenges. We're also going to name some of the resources that you can utilize to address these challenges if you so choose. Pretty much all of these resources are voluntary. They're here for you if you so choose. What I encourage you to do is to look them over, see what works for you. If you feel drawn to one or the other, I encourage you to explore that feeling and maybe think about why you're drawn to it, and maybe consider reaching out to that resource, reaching out to that service and seeing what it can do for you. So as mentioned, some of the potential challenges that folks experience include basic needs. So that would be houselessness, otherwise known as housing insecurity, food insecurity, where maybe you're not able to afford groceries that month, or you have to make a decision like paying rent or paying for groceries. All of those are very real. Perhaps there are roommate or housing concerns, right? We've all been there. Other financial changes and challenges, change of personal values. That's a big one. When you're in college, it's a very dramatic life experience and transition. It is not uncommon for you to find out more about yourself, to find out more about your personality, to find out how you operate under pressure, to find out how you do in a new environment. Those are all very real, and those are all very real parts of growing up and going to college. And so if you experience those things, you know, exploration of identities, change of personal values, culture shock, maybe you've changed, you don't exactly recognize yourself, maybe. I just want to validate that and say that that's pretty normal, and that's to be expected when you go through such a dramatic change like college. Time management's a number one, academic shock, mental health, homesickness, sense of belonging. There exist supports for these. They're all listed there on the right side. They include the Basic Needs Hub, residential life, and student legal services. Not a whole lot of people know about student legal services, but if you are an enrolled student, you are entitled to receive advising from them. So if you have a legal issue, or if there's a concern you have that may have legal implications, like a contract or a lease or you know, whatever, you can consult with them for free. The Financial Aid Office, the Dean of Student Affairs Office, the Care and Concern Team, they work with students who experience challenges and crises. The Office for Students with Disabilities, if you want to look into accommodations, there are a wide variety of resources here for you. Next slide, please. So I believe we're going to do an activity right now. So what are some challenges in your transition that you're anticipating? What is a resource you might explore to support it? And what are some ways you want to get involved in co-curricular opportunities? And I believe I handed off to the OLs now. I'm not sure.
Yes, so I'll be putting you all back into your breakout groups so y'all can discuss these questions in your groups.
All right, thank you, Jenny. So I hope everyone had a great experience in their breakout rooms. I want to be cognizant of time. So can we move on to the next slide, please? Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about Welcome Week, which is the non-mandatory social part of orientation. So as you know, as you're experiencing orientation, it's more of the mandatory academic and requirement-based items that need to be gone over. However, Welcome Week is voluntary. It's about getting to know other people, building that community we talked about, making new friends. And so the college has put together some opportunities for you all. We've highlighted a few here. They include our virtual community building and game night. Literally, you just log on to the Zoom, play games with whoever. It's pretty fun. It's pretty low key. It's really casual. You know, you don't have to do like 10 things in order to get ready for it. It's literally just show up and have fun. We also have a bonfire going on the 17th from 6:30 to 8 at Scripps Pier. That's right down by the beach. We have an international out-of-state outreach ice cream social. So if you identify as an international student or you're an out-of-state student, highly encourage you to swing by that. We have a Tending the Roots event where we're going to highlight our Kumeyaay native garden here on campus at Marshall College. We have a Kumeyaay garden that's made up of plants and flowers that are indigenous to the land, that are native to the land, and that were utilized by native people. And so it's a special place of honor that we have here on campus. And so that event is to kind of draw attention to it and highlight it. We also have Self-Care Slow Morning, which is a yoga-based event. That's going to be led by a yoga instructor. It's on Sunday the 19th from 10 to 11 a.m. on Marshall Field. Like I said, these are just a few of the opportunities. We have several more, but these are some of the highlights. And yeah, Kathy's right. Your OLs are probably going to be at a lot of these events. And so if you want to, you know, get to know them more, talk more, connect more, this is a great opportunity to do so. Next slide, please. I'm pretty sure that's it. Oh, takeaways. Here we go. So we went over a lot in this, and so I just wanted to summarize some key takeaways. If you leave today hanging on to only these things, then that's great, mission accomplished. But I just wanted to summarize some of what we have to offer here at Marshall College. And that's that challenge is expected, right? We are human beings. For many of you, maybe this is your first time living away from home. College can be an intimidating experience. It's different, you know, a lot is going on. And so challenge is expected. But with that, support is necessary and is available. And so that is what the college offers, whether it's through the Dean of Student Affairs office, whether it's through counseling and psychological services, or whether it's with your peers, you know, support and community are available. College is about your holistic development. It's not just about getting A's in all your classes, even though I'm sure that that's desired. You're going to grow as a person. Maybe you'll find things out about yourself that you didn't know before. Maybe you will learn things about other people and human nature that you didn't know before. All of that is to be expected. Some of it will probably feel good, some of it not. But at the end of the day, you are growing and learning. And so what we want to emphasize is that college is about holistic development. You're growing not just inside the classroom, but also outside the classroom. This is just the beginning. Keep the conversations and the connections going. And so, you know, orientation is this crazy mass of events and programs and information, but it really is just the beginning of your college experience. And so the connections that you build during Welcome Week, I encourage you to keep those going, you know, try to build those connections. They do take work, they do take maintenance. And so I encourage you to do that. TMC is family. You have a network of professional staff rooting for you. I am not kidding when I say that the Marshall College staff is invested in your success, not just as a student, but as a person too. That's why we're here. That's why we have jobs. It's to support you all. And so don't be afraid to utilize us in that respect. And again, expect to connect. College is a huge experience. It's a huge transition. There's a lot of new people, a lot of new things to discover. I encourage you to reach out, talk to people, get out there, see what happens. I do believe that through connection, you can find maybe what you're looking for. Next slide, please. Follow us on social media. Here's your obligatory social media post. Marshall Memos is going to drop into your inbox every Sunday at 5 p.m. That's our college's newsletter. So do check that out for opportunities like I mentioned. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Your TMC Family. We're on TikTok now. And so our handle is Your TMC Family too, I believe. And we are on Facebook, of course. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your engagement. You can shoot us an email at tmcstudentaffairs@ucsd.edu if you have any unanswered questions or concerns. Once again, I'm happy to be here. I'm super glad to see you all. I'm excited for you as you start your journey. And thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you to Colin from Student Affairs for reminding us about the values that Marshall stands for and what it means to be a scholar and citizen. Go to the next slide. Actually, I think, yeah. Alrighty, so we will close out today in your small groups. The OLs will review Canvas to make sure you understand the mandatory requirements and what needs to be completed prior to part 2 on Wednesday, September 15th. There will be 2 additional modules, the Care at Stark and the Student Health and Wellbeing modules, and the nationwide SERP survey for you all to complete on Canvas prior to your next session. You can access the modules and survey by scrolling to the bottom of the syllabus page on your orientation course on Canvas or by going to the modules tab. If you can't find your SERP survey, it may have been sent to your UCSD or your personal email, so be sure to check your spam folders as well. Additionally, the SERP survey links are unique to each of you, so please do not share them with another student. Additionally, you can learn more about your orientation leaders on Canvas if you click on the Meet Your Orientation Leaders page in the syllabus. It's also good to get familiar with Canvas, as this is where most of your course materials will be. So before I break you all into your breakout rooms, just want to say thank you again for being here today, and we'll see you all on Wednesday, September 15th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So at this point, I'll be opening the breakout rooms and your OLs will be dismissing you all from there.